video is for the lesson 7.3 homework. So number 1, it says, what's the name of an expression that contains a radical symbol? This is a radical expression. And the only time we're going to use that this unit is when we're using the quadratic formula, which is tomorrow. We'll see those tomorrow. And then number 2, what is the name of the value inside a radical symbol? Radicand. Root is the answer. Radicand. So if I say the square root of 4, 4 is the radicand. And that's a D. All right, so we're going to solve these by factoring. And that's what we did last unit. We factored. We factored all over the place. So I'm going to take this first one here. There's no number in front of the x squared, so we can immediately jump to this. This is why I said make sure this gets glued in. We've got a negative and a plus. Negative and a plus. So both my factors are going to be x minus and x minus. John, I will get you one of those. X minus a number, x minus a number. All right, we got to factor 48. So we've got 1 in 48, and then let's just start. Let's go divide it by 2, so 2 in 24. Then we're going to divide it by 3. That one works, so 3 in 16. Divide it by 4, 4 in 12. So 5 won't work. Remember, you got to get something nice and pretty. 6 will work, 6 times 8, and I think that's where we end. All right, so I need to pick the pair over here that are going to add or subtract to make 14. So which set is going to add or subtract to make 14? 6 and 8. And then remember, always check. Negative 6 plus negative 8 has got to equal negative 14. Negative 6 plus negative 8 is negative 14. So those are my factors. So if I know my factors, I can solve this. And what I do is I take those factors and I set them equal to 0. Okay, and then I can just solve them. And some of y'all can look at them and go, oh, this one's 6, this one's 8. If you need to do it in your calculator, did you menu 3, 1? X minus 6 equals 0, comma x. And then do it for the other one. X minus 8 equals 0. But that's solving a quadratic equation, factoring. Okay. Remember that you can also, you can graph these. Plus 48. And you can look and see where it crosses. So if you do menu 6, 1, you can capture those. And remember, it's where this graph crosses that x-axis. Those are your solutions. Okay? All right, so number 5 looks a little bit different. I need it to look like this. I need all the pieces to be on one side, and I need the other side to be 0. You can see here that the pieces are split. So I need to move this negative 6x over here. How would I move that entire piece? Add it. I'm going to add 6x to both sides. Now, I want to stick it like this, where x squared comes first, then the x, and then the plain old number. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to put the 6x in between there, in between the x squared and the 8. And then I can factor it. So again, there's nothing in front of the x, so we can jump straight to this. 2 plus signs, so x plus a number and x plus a number. And then we're factoring 8. So 8 is 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Which set is going to add to make a 6? 2 and 4. And positive 2 and positive 4 add together to make 6. And then I can take those two factors and I set them equal to 0. And I solve them. So when it's just x plus or minus a number, all you do is flip the sign. So up here, my factor is x minus 6. So my solution is a positive 6. Since my factors here are plus, my solutions, we just flip the sign. Okay. So those are pretty easy. The ones that we don't have to do anything tricky with, those are easy to factor. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who would have them. All right, so this one, I've got my pieces split again. One thing that I want is I always want my x squared, or the number in front of x squared, to be positive. So since it's already positive, I know that I have to move these other two pieces. So 5x squared, that's going to stay. How do I move the 28x? So if we added the 6x to move it here, how would I move a positive 28x? Subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 28x from both sides. So I can just tack it on, minus 28x. And then how am I going to move a minus 15 or a negative 15? Positive, yep. Add it, do the opposite. So all the pieces on one side, and I need the other side to be 0 on these quadratics. Okay? All right, this one, I can't just jump right in it because I've got something in front of the x. So this is where we do the slip and slide. So we're going to take the 5 and we're going to slip it down here. So x squared minus 28x, and then we're going to do 5 times 15. 5 times 15. 75. All right, now I can use this little sheet. So we've got a minus and a plus, minus and a plus. Both factors are going to be minuses. So x minus, x minus. And then we factor 75. So 1 times 75, and then you can just start dividing it. Doesn't divide by 2. Divides by 3, so 3 times 25. Doesn't divide by 4. Divides by 5. Ooh. Won't divide by 6. By 7. By 8. By 9. By 10. I'm running out of numbers. 11 doesn't work. 12 doesn't work. So let's see if we've got what we need. I need 2 of these that are going to add or subtract to make 28. Do I have a pair that'll add or subtract to make 28? 3 and 25. And they're both negative. And then if I go back and check, negative 3 plus negative 25 gives me negative 28. But this is slip and slide, so I'm not done. I slipped this 5, so I have to undo that. So remember, to undo multiplication, you go back and divide. And then check your fractions. So 3 over 5 doesn't simplify. So here's the slide. Take the 5 and I slide it in front of the x. Okay, and then 25 over 5 simplifies to a 5. And so those are my 2 factors. So we start getting into more complicated factors when we start putting coefficients in front of the x squared. So I'm going to take my factors and I'm going to set them equal to 0. And here's where the menu 3-1 comes in handy. When they're not the basic equations, x plus 2 equals 0. It makes these easier. So 5x, woo, try that again. 5x minus 3 equals 0. Comma x, and then I want it to be, I don't want decimals, I want fractions. So if you get a decimal, it's menu 2, and it's going to change it into a fraction for you. And then the next one is x minus 5 equals 0, and so x equals positive 5. Okay. All right, one more, and I've got pieces to move. So how am I going to move this 9x? What am I going to do to it? Subtract it. So I've got 5x squared, and then I'm going to move that 9x by subtracting it. And remember, I want the x to come next. I want the x after the x squared. And then minus 2. Okay. So we got to slip and slide on this one. So I've got x squared minus 9x. 5 times negative 2 is a negative 10. Minus and minus is x plus a number, x minus a number. X plus a number, x minus a number. And then we factor 10. So we've got 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's it. Which two will either add or subtract to make a 9? 1 and 10. So we got to look back at this, though. Minus and minus. The highest number goes to the negative sign. So the 10 goes here, the 1 goes here, and then again you can check. 1 plus negative 10 gives you a negative 9. That's what we need. Now we got to undo our multiplication. So 1 over 5 doesn't simplify. So we slide that 5. 5x plus 1. 10 over 5. Ew. Simplifies. X minus 2. So there's my factors. And then I solve my factors. So 5x plus 1 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. So menu 3-1. 5x plus 1 equals 0, comma x. Change it. Menu 2-2. Change it to a fraction. X equals negative 1/5. And then x minus 2. X equals 2. Some of these I'm going to factor for you. So 4, since we've got x squared and x, this one is a matter of greatest common factor. We can pull an x out of both of these. So when we did special cases, we talked about this a little bit. So my factors here are going to be x and then x plus 1. Those are my two factors. So I would set x equal to 0 and x plus 1 equal to 0. Guess what one of your solutions is going to be? If you have a factor that's x, one of your solutions is just x equals 0. So all you have to do is solve that one. This one here is the difference of two squares that we did. It would be x squared minus 9 equals 0. And remember, we square rooted each piece. So my two factors there would be x minus 3, and then remember you change the sign, x plus 3. This one you can do, you just have to move that 4 piece. And then number 10, you would have to move the 3x, so 2x squared minus 3x equals 0. And this is a greatest common factor too. You can factor an x out. So your two factors are x, that's one factor, and then 2x minus 3. So you would set x equal to 0 and 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So the only one that you have to do start to finish is number 8. That's not a bad deal. I got the others all set up where all you have to do is just solve them. Trying to get them where they'll all fit for you. Nope. There we go. Okay.